It's not because the public wants hostility with Iran and Israel. The public wants relations. But this government is saying, we oppress you, we terrorize you, all because we're keeping you safe and we're adhering to these three principles.
And that's 40 years of brainwashing as well.
Absolutely, of indoctrination. So diplomacy had reached its end. To answer your question, a long answer to a good question, was Trump right to bomb it? Trump had reached the limits of diplomacy. And with Iran being a nuclear threshold state, and with Israel after the 2023 Hamas attacks realizing it could no longer tolerate this degree of a threshold Iran, the time to act, the pressure was there. So I think
and the opportunity, because of the way it had weakened
the defense systems, the proxies.
Their true proxies, Hezbollah and Hamas.
Right. So I think there was a window of opportunity, and Iran simply was not going to abandon its nuclear program on its own. Diplomacy was not going to get us there. They don't want to. It gives them too much leverage.
And it's never going to abandon its nuclear program.
Yeah. I've learned to not say never anymore in
But with
politics.
a regime change, I think that's a different story. But in the existing regime, the regime will keep itself in power. That's my point about that's the analogy to North Korea. We all kind of agree on is that, their perception is if we have a nuclear weapon, then the West really can't mess with us.
And you mentioned something else I liked. You said that, I think when you were saying if in the role of the DNI or the president, you get information, you were wrong, okay, you have to reassess. Our leaders, and this goes back to sort of the topic of this book I'm working on, our male leaders especially suffer from cognitive dissonance, right? Cognitive dissonance is when you have a set of beliefs and you get information that is inconsistent with your beliefs. That makes all humans incredibly uncomfortable, all right? What do you do with that? Well, there's multiple ways that we psychologically try to neutralize that. One of them is you change your view. You say, you know what, I was wrong. This is the correct way to see things. Most people won't do that. That's embarrassing. Most men won't do that. Most men in positions of power absolutely won't do that. If they admit that they're wrong, then what does that say, right? So instead, they double down, they reinforce, they become stubborn, and they end up then, in order to justify that, have to act aggressively. So we suffer from basically men in positions
It's the I'm right problem.
Exactly. Right.
I told you so.
Exactly.
I told you so.
Exactly. Yeah. So you have to reinforce your false belief, because if you don't, it means you were wrong. Yeah. And if you're Donald Trump, if you're Khamenei, if you're Benjamin Netanyahu and you were wrong, how bad does that look? You're out. Your credibility is gone in this culture that we're in. Right? So that leads to the other problem, the cognitive dissonance that these world leaders can't seem to handle.
Do you think we were right to strike Iran?
I think that we did the right thing at the wrong time. And I will say that because the President of the United States is the President of the United States. He's earned the seat. We wanted him there. We voted for it. He gets to do whatever he wants. But considering the politics between Israel and Iran at the time, considering the, at the very least, inconsistent intelligence that we have about the actual status of the weapons that Iran was developing, and then the political position inside the United States being where it was with failed tariffs, being where it was with an inability to negotiate peace in Gaza, an inability to negotiate peace in Ukraine, where it was, if it was the right thing to do, we certainly seem to have done it prematurely along with preemptively.
When would have been a better time? And I'm not a proponent of war.